Let's take a look at some charts on Ripple from the latest article on Brave New Coin. So the big price spike in Ripple just happens to coincide with the regularly scheduled programming on when I do these articles. So it's very convenient that I have something to talk about now. Ripple for the past 2 years really has been doing nothing but slow bleeds and semi-mean reversion. You can see in the market cap table here, between all of the coins, clearly Ripple had a big day over the past couple days, if not week. Harder to see here, but Stellar as well also had a pretty big couple days. In general, Ripple and Stellar move together, so if Ripple moves first, Stellar usually moves after that. And Ripple generally moves because it's got integer bias and it's listed on a bunch of exchanges. It's really no other reason other than that. It is probably a security by US law, hasn't been declared so just yet. Ton of legal challenges for that, however, and the circulating versus total supply conversation comes up frequently because Ripple the company holds a bunch, and Ripple the escrow service holds a bunch. Ripple the company benefits from Ripple the escrow service. It's all just purposeful brand confusion. Those poor souls buying Ripple thinking that Ripple the company is backing it, and it's in their best interest, Ripple the company's best interest, to sell tokens and make a profit. The CEO of Ripple the company has said himself that the company would not be in profit if they were not selling tokens. Over the past few quarters, they've actually been buying tokens to quote-unquote stabilize market health and activity or some gobbledygook like that. If you look at their total purchases, total sales, all this quarterly report. If a coin has a quarterly report, it's centralized. It's just black and white, plain and simple. Look at any coin with a quarterly report. I'm guessing they have a treasury, they're centralized, they benefit from the sale of the tokens, they're sitting on a ton of pre-mined tokens, which is what's happening in Ripple's case. Ripple pretends there's some benevolent, neutral entity when they, again, benefit from all of the sales of the escrow service. It's mind-blowing to think that people disagree with that, but here we are. Is the network centralized? Will the network disappear if Ripple the company disappears? That is an interesting hypothesis that may come true because Ripple the company controls most of the full nodes. If all of the full nodes on the network disappear, then the network may disappear. I do not know how many full nodes exist for Ripple. I do not know the size of the full nodes, both of which are something that need to be investigated if you're trying to determine how centralized or decentralized the network is. If there are thousands of full nodes all over the world controlled by individuals, you can say probably at that point it is a decentralized network. If one entity like Ripple or EOS or whoever controls all of the full nodes for the network, and that entity goes away, the network will probably cease to exist unless people pick up the slack and spin up some full nodes. The problem is the full nodes are so big, so cumbersome, size-wise, we're talking terabytes here, as well as RAM requirements, similar to ETH, that very few individuals are going to do this. It's alright, so that's my rant. Here's the token supply. Again, it's nauseating to think that people look at this and think, oh yeah, Ripple's fine. They're only selling whatever they're selling per month. So they take out 1 million per month. What they don't sell goes back in escrow. And they can rationalize this as saying, issuance is low, whatever. Sure, it's an alternative type of issuance. But again, it's 100% pre-mined. Ripple, the company, benefits from all of the escrow sales. This isn't like, doesn't go back into the community, tokens aren't burned. It is a giant mystery why this thing even exists, honestly. A stablecoin does a much better job than Ripple ever would. Looking at the total nodes for the network, it's currently on 1.6.0. 1.6.0 as far as the version, and over 65% of the nodes are currently on that version. If you look at transaction counts and transaction fees, fees are fairly low and have stayed fairly low. We're talking some of the lowest fees out of anything, which would be a benefit for Ripple. It is the one thing that Ripple has going for it. If you ignore feeless chains, okay, it's one of the cheapest chains to send anything. Transaction counts have been basically flat over the past 4 years. A little high, a little low. This was all spam. We're getting a little uptick now. Based on where price is, where it quadrupled the market cap or something crazy like that, you'd expect an insane amount of transaction activity. You're just not seeing it. You're just not seeing it. You won't see sustained activity. You won't see continued use of the network. The people buying here are either people rotating out of Bitcoin into Ripple, or people, again, who are new and have integer bias and say, I can buy 20,000 Ripple versus 0.1 BTC. I'm going to buy 20,000 Ripple. And that's just the way it works. If you look at active addresses have spiked considerably. This is spam. This is spam. This is probably a 2-year high for active addresses. Mean transaction sizes spiking a little bit modestly, not too much. If we look at what's happened in actual on-chain activity, is we're seeing massive inflows of XRP to exchanges. This is the equivalent of Bitcoin days destroyed exploding. Basically, anybody who's holding Ripple under their couch or wherever is thinking, I need to sell this because I'm in a massive profit, or I'm finally at break even, or I'm sick of sitting on this for sale, or this is the big CEOs and executives at Ripple thinking, well, I can finally sell into retail or whoever that's buying this and not crash the price because there's suddenly liquidity that I can sell into. This is not good for for any coin to see inflows like this. Basically, whales looking to sell, whales looking to dump on you. If we look at NVT, inverse metric of economic utility, something that for Ripple specifically has never been too valuable because it just continues to show, decline over time. It's still in the hundreds. It's at around 200 right now. If you look at other coins, they're in the 30s, 50s, 10s, something like that. A falling NVT is bullish, and you can see over the past few years, if you compare this to the price chart, it's been non-correlative. It's just gone down together. There's nothing. What I'm trying to say here is NVT by itself isn't a great metric, and NVT on Ripple isn't a great metric. So this looks bullish in a vacuum, but it really isn't. Because the escrow transactions will, when they take 1 million in and out of the escrow every month, that'll mess with this greatly, along with other distribution methods they have that I haven't talked about. But they do a lot of on-chain movements with big sizes that'll mess up NVT. If we look at Google Trends, probably the most bullish thing that's honestly bullish for Ripple, because it just means a lot of new retail, a lot of new people coming in. Again, a 2-year high, similar to active addresses in Google Trends. If we look back since 2018, massive breakout here. This will rise up really quick and fall almost immediately, just like it did for Doge. You're seeing TikTok people getting in. You're seeing everybody and their mother, look at this and think, oh, I can make so much money on this. And they get in late, they FOMO at the top, and then, like I said, you're getting these massive bag whales saying, I can finally sell into this liquidity. If we look at technicals, Bitfinex long shorts, VPVR, volume profile, VPVR, yearly pivots, volume, RSI, 50, 200 EMA. So the 50 and 200 EMA was bullish a couple months ago, and price kind of went nowhere and finally broke out, bounced on the 200 a couple times, broke out on what I personally believe is a technical breakout and nothing else other than that. Honestly, they got some flare token distribution, pointless garbage that I didn't even talk about in the article because I'm not going to contribute to hype and nonsense. I don't think that played a role at all. I just think, honestly, in a vacuum, this was bullish. I traded it as such as well. I think I have that on the next one of these. No, I guess I didn't talk about it, but this definitely was an inverted head and shoulders breaking out, and it broke out beyond that at this point. You can see the volume is just insane. For Bitstamp, all-time high volume. VPVR breakout as well. It's above that 30 to 33 sat range, and there's just really minimal resistance historically on the upside here. You can see it broke every single high basically in the past 2 years. Question becomes, does this have more in the tank? How much more retail can FOMO into this without whales selling it down? Question is, I don't really know. If BTC goes sideways, that's bullish for Ripple. If BTC pulls back, that's extremely bearish for Ripple. I'm expecting a pullback to 40 cents if BTC goes bearish here. It's mega bullish on the cloud, but you can't really use the cloud on the daily, so you kind of have to look at the cloud on the 30-minute, which is extremely noisy. But over the past couple days, it has been giving extremely tradable signals. You have your long entry here, you get out here, you get back in here and you're still holding. I don't know what it looks like right now, but I was saying in the article, inverted Adam and Eve is potentially here. I think this is morphed into a triangle now. But I would just wait for these TK recrosses. That's how you trade this. I mean, if this is trending hard enough on the 30-minute or the hourly, it should be extremely easy to see when these signals tell you to go long or tell you below the cloud when to get out of your long, that sort of thing. There isn't really a bearish divergence on RSI, definitely not a bearish divergence on volume. So if anything, I'd like to see a higher high here with a bearish divergence. This may take a couple weeks to happen, but certainly possible. Longs have been curling up, shorts have been curling up on Bitfinex. Nothing really to talk about there. But overall, this just looks like, it's grinded down for a year and a half, and it's just a technical breakout here. I don't really see any fundamental new paradigm stuff. Same thing with XRP BTC. It just absolutely got pummeled and crushed and bled to a pulp, and it's finally just trying to mean revert here. It's above a decent VPVR zone. I think in the article I say it's got a shot at 5K sats. If anything, I'd like this to retest this area, confirm it as support, and then try for 5K sats. Once again, no bearish divergence here. You can see RSI hit an all-time low in RSI with this recent low. So something else you can always watch for. Crypto in general really doesn't like RSI below 10, below 15. So if you see that, that's usually a pretty good sign that, all right, it's time to start catching some knives. It's time to start taking a stab here, getting stabbed back, because when this bounces, usually on crypto, it bounces extremely hard, just like it did. I mean, look at ETH. ETH did the same thing in March, in November 2019, December 2019, whatever that was. All these charts, when RSI gets this low, it's usually a sign that reversals around the corner. And you can say the same thing about the highs, honestly. You can see RSI peaked here, retraced pretty hard, and then went for another run. So that's a potential setup I'd watch for here is, how does this look over the next couple of days, if not a couple of weeks, into the 3K sat zone, and then it may push for a high of 5K sats. We'll see. It really is highly dependent on how BTC reacts. So overall, I wouldn't get too euphoric here on these highs for Ripple. They tend to spike high and then spike low. Christmas tree, as some refer to it, or the Burj Khalifa, whatever the highest building in the world is. You just get this massive tower that goes straight down. Technicals, I would watch low time frames, 30-minute, hourly. 4 hours probably too slow, honestly, because this stuff's just going to move super quickly. You have a lot of new people coming in. Retail people are going to FOMO in, they're going to FOMO out, they're going to get euphoric, they're going to get fearful. This is going to get highly, highly volatile over the next couple of weeks.